it's time to say goodbye. So this is it's a really small thing, and yet it's a really significant thing. Ready? Dear nose ring, as you know, you're the second nose ring I got. My first nose ring was when I was 17 years old, and I think that was my first year of college when I was attempting to major in art before I realized I was way outside of my league. And my best friend Julia and I got our noses pierced. I don't know what her motivation was. I think mine was just because I thought it looked good and wanted to stand out or something. And after just a few months, it fell out, or I was moving it and I couldn't get it back in, and so I just left it alone. And so then we got to fast forward 10 years. So then fast forward to 2019, and that was when there were 4 major stressors in my life, unlike anything I had experienced before, that really brought me to a breaking point. And they were things that the Lord really used to invite me to draw near to Him. Whether or not I took all those opportunities is definitely another story. But it was around that time that our church, the church that I grew up in, went through a really big, ugly split. My parents got divorced. It was also around that time that Jared was working sometimes 100 hours a week, gone that whole time, and meanwhile at home I had a 2, 3, 4, and 5-year-old, something like that. They had so many needs and were very demanding, obviously, as children are. And then my cousin and dear friend took his life. And it was shortly after Andre took his life, very shortly after, where I just felt in a very dark, I felt like I was in a very dark place. I was able to do some therapy with a dear friend, and she shed a lot of light on the situation and helped me to learn to just sit in the weeds with Jesus. And so it was around that time, though, nose ring, that I decided that I wanted to get you back. And I didn't really have a good reason for it. Now that I look back now, I think that having you, nose ring, was kind of an outward expression of the pain that I was feeling. I've had you since then, 2019, and that's where it started, but I think where it went from there was you became kind of a symbol of individuality, uniqueness, specialness, and I believed that I was more special, more unique. I stood out more because I had you. And I didn't realize this until recently, but I had a very clenched fist when it came to you. And I didn't ever want to get rid of you because I thought that getting rid of you would mean that I was getting rid of part of what made me unique and special. Bun. And then just a couple months ago, there was a pretty significant turning point. I was at the Weston A. Price Nourishing Traditions conference, and I saw quite a few Amish there, or maybe Mennonite, I'm not sure, but they had their very modest jean skirts and plain shirts and their head coverings, and that was really striking to me for some reason. For the first time, I wasn't intimidated by that and assuming they were judging me. For the first time, I thought, wow, that's really beautiful. They're not trying to impress people with the way that they dress. And I don't know any Amish or Mennonite people, so I'm just assuming here that the reason that they dress that way is so that God would be glorified and that people wouldn't be distracted by the flashiness of their clothes or their figures. Not only are they modest with not showing a lot of their bodies, but also even just bright, colorful patterns. You just don't see that, and I assume it's because they just don't want to be a distraction from people seeing the beauty and glory of God. And I'd never thought about that before, and that was about a month ago, and that's just been stirring in my mind off and on since then, that you, nose ring, reflected a belief that I needed to stand out and be special in that way. And that belief has changed. So, for the first time in 3 years, nose ring, I don't need you. And Jared has never been a big fan of you, but he's always been very kind and gracious with the fact that I had you. And so I know that this will bless him as well. But it's time to say goodbye. My heart has been healing as I take my emotions to the Lord and give him an opportunity to transform my heart from lies to truth with regards to church. I think that's really well resolved with regards to my parents' divorce and with regards to Andre. And now that I'm working as a Spanish teacher and Jared is much more involved with the kids, that burden is definitely shared between the two of us, and I'm very, very thankful for this season where I get to take a little bit of a rest from that, but still be very involved in my children's lives. So you served some purpose, but it's time to go. I'm not quite sure how. I think we're gonna have to use pliers. So I'm gonna see if Jared can help. Come on over, Jared. Go on that side.
It's separated well, babe.
Oh, good. Ready?
Yes. Can I hold it?
You wanna hold it?
Have you done it before?
Thanks, yeah.
You have a hole in your nose. Can I see? Can I see? Can I see?
It's okay,